I are both from Connecticut, and we're both UConn graduates, and Norman got his master's there. We married after he got his master's, just before he went on for his doctorate. We moved to Illinois, where he got his PhD in 1956, and then he spent an extra year there on a postdoc. Faye was born, and we went to Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri. He was there 3 years. That's where Winston Churchill made the Iron Curtain speech in '45, but we weren't there then. And then in 1950, Norman was offered a position at City University of New York.
1960.
1950.
60.
1960, excuse me, right. And we moved to Brooklyn, New York, and had 37 wonderful, wonderful years there. He was able to walk to the college every day. We lived in a beautiful residential area. We had 2 wonderful children by then. And as I say, we were there for 37 years until he retired, where then we went to Sarasota, Florida. We went up to Connecticut for my granddaughter's graduation, and Norman got ill up there. And he was hospitalized. He must have had a pneumonia. He had pneumonia, he had a TIA, we think. And he was put into a convalescent home, and he seemed to deteriorate. And we knew then that I was no longer really able to take care of him, that we had to make some choices for the future. And I decided that the place was to be with my daughter. I love my son, but that was the choice we made. And so Faye researched it and said that one of the best places that she has seen, that seems to be state of the art, is Sunrise at Fox Hill. Here we are.
Out there to see him, I said, we have a week to get him out of here. They left him in the wheelchair, his feet were all swollen. There was no place to sit and talk to him. So I came back and I looked at what was in town. And I have friends who've gone through this too. And I kind of ended up here kind of as a lark, because you hear a lot about the independent side of this place. You were hearing less about the assisted living memory side of it. And before I made any decisions, I felt like I had to look at this place. It was 2 miles from my house. And the marketing person I worked with was spectacular. She said everything I needed to hear and everything that I needed to tell my mom. The place was spectacular. But you can talk a good game and not walk a good game. And I sat here many days and watched the aides with the residents. And they were patient, and they were sweet, and they answered my questions. I mean, when my dad was in this other facility, I sat in the dining room with him, and if he needed a drink, I had to get him a drink. And a couple days later, he ended up in the hospital dehydrated because nobody gave him a drink. And it was the residents who needed to be fed were being assisted by the aides, and the aides had smiles on their faces. And I talked to the residents, the aides, and family members before I made a decision. And this place, it's beautiful. It happens to look like the Four Seasons, but you really don't want to get taken in by that because it's by. And my 14-year-old and 18-year-old kids come over here all the time to visit my father, and they like the aides. They're in camp for the summer, and when I speak to them, they'll say, "How's Poppy?" And I'll say, "Great," and they'll name an aide and say, "Tell her we say hi." I mean, it's a very comfortable place to sit. You're not uncomfortable sitting here, and there's lots of rooms, so you're not on top of other people. And you can have your private space if you want it. It's really worked out well. One is, when you see it coming, act on it. We did this, it worked out, we were incredibly lucky. Fox Hill got my dad in under 10 days. We had a registered nurse, who's my brother's driver, who drove him from Connecticut. We had a lot of pieces that fell into place. It's usually not that easy to do it that quickly. My advice is, if you see it coming, don't wait till the last minute, prepare. I think it's much better that my mom could be his wife and not his caregiver. I mean, I still have to tell her that here sometimes when she wants to do some stuff. I say, "Mom, you need to not do that." And there was something else I was going to say. It's better for the resident to go in more aware than less aware. I'm not talking about at 45, but I'm talking about before.
How about you?
My mother, when I saw my mother in May when she flew up for my niece's graduation, she looked horrible. And as my dad got sick and was not well taken care of, she looked worse. I would say that in the last 3 weeks, she looks better than she's looked in 2 years.